Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the future. This is the much anticipated, drum roll, right, investment panel on AI investments and what is actually happening, what we actually want to invest in. And we have an incredible a group of panelists that we're going to invite up. And I think what's really important to recognize in this coming panel is that there are so many different angles that we're approaching this technology and its use. Well, I want to first invite Warren Packard up. He is part of the AI Fund. Please welcome him. Thank you. We also have Tony Kim with Blackrock. We should have music in our intros, right? It makes it a lot more exciting. We have Tien Wong with Opus 8. We have Alex Ye with GMI. Moyi Dang with Coinfeeds. And myself. Please join us. So I'd like to go around the panel and just have a quick intro so that everybody here understands what exactly is the interest of the panelists in this group and what they prefer and look for. Warren, could you start this off, please?
Sure. So I'm a partner at AI Fund. This is Andrew Ng's venture studio. Probably many of you are familiar with Andrew, who's been teaching AI and ML for decades, was the founder of Coursera and now has taught about 8 million computer scientists their trade in AI. As a venture studio, we co-found companies. So our focus is on bringing in ideas and concepts, and typically we work with corporations and other venture funds and entrepreneurs to bring, as a co-founder, their ideas to life. So we've got resources as business founders, technology prototypers, recruiters, and of course we have investment dollars as well. So we don't invest in going concerns. We work with you to create your company and write the business plan and pre-seed finance the company. Yeah, we're at the earliest stages.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm Tony Kim. I head up the technology investment sector at Blackrock. We're at the complete opposite end of the spectrum to Warren. So when companies get late stage before the IPO, all the way to the IPO, and then after the IPO, and then the big companies we know in the public market. That whole spectrum is where I get involved. After he builds the companies, then we vet them and say, are you worthy of investment? And that's kind of what I do.
Thank you, Tony.
Great. Tien Wong, and as an investor, I'm wearing two hats. One is as a direct investor in mostly post-seed, pre-A and A round companies. And I'm also a venture partner at IronGate Capital, which is a dual-use venture capital fund which invests in a fund-to-fund basis. So half of our assets are deployed into fund managers and half are direct investments. And then my third hat that I wear is I assist fund managers and companies in raising capital, finding LPs and equity money for early stage companies.
Awesome.
Yeah, my name's Alex, founder and CEO of GMI Cloud. GMI is a AI cloud company, so we enable and allow founders and enterprise to build AI instantly. So whether you have an idea and you want to build a RAG or build a solution, we're here to help. Or enterprise, you want to enable your employees and you need to scale inferencing or you need to train internally, we're here to help to provide on-prem services or solutions for you. And so I guess I'm on the opposite end of the investors here. You guys invest in money to the startups, and in turn, startups gave their precious investment dollars to me for me to enable them to build a really amazing product.
Love that. Go ahead, Moyi.
Hi, so my name is Moyi. I am the founder of Coinfeeds AI. So we provide AI solutions to investment funds. So we help investment funds, big and small, to build internal AI solutions. We connect with their own data, and we deploy securely to a virtual private cloud. We help manage permissions, etc. Now, the company was started in 2021, where we applied AI to crypto. We were one of the first companies to do that, and we sold social media analytics to investment funds. But in recent years, we focused more on providing AI solutions to investment funds.
I love that. So we obviously have so many different perspectives here and different angles when it comes to investing. I would love to start with you, Tony, given your background, and would love to ask more about what key factors do you consider when assessing the market potential of companies integrating AI technologies, whether in verticals like fintech, health, or broader applications. I think your perspective could be very valuable in there.
So AI is a horizontal technology, and yet we're an investor, right? So we're investing, and so it doesn't per se matter. There are principles, foundational principles for investment. I mean, it probably extends from the early stage all the way to the public market, and so there are certain these principles of: is the market big enough? Yeah. What is the competitive dynamic in the company? What is the business model, the financial profile of the company? Is there differentiation? Is there competitive edge? Is there uniqueness? What's your moat? You know, all of these, let's just call it business principles. And then you apply that prism to AI. And so it's no different to the prior cycles we've had of social media or e-commerce or SaaS or fintech or crypto. It kind of doesn't matter. Now that said, so you take that framework. It's a universal framework of what I call, and I believe fervently in what I believe in power laws. Every sector, every company category, follows power laws of winners and losers. And generally, there are very few winners and lots of losers or mediocre companies. And so through that lens, I invest across whatever category. And so then AI is a horizontal technology, and it touches many, many things, many, many industries, and then up and down what I call a stack of technology. And then you apply these power law principles to every layer of the stack in AI, and that applies to then every industry vertical that AI will touch. So you follow those principles, and then that gives you a lens of how we approach investing in companies in AI.
That makes sense. I think data is a big part of this, right? When you're going through the due diligence piece. And with that said, Moyi, with Coinfeeds and the data part of you, I would love to know more about how can AI-powered analytics uncover hidden trends and patterns in financial and market data to identify promising investment opportunities from your perspective.
Yeah, so one way to think of this is that AI lets us scalably do something that would take a human a very long time to do. So for example, within our AI platforms, we have a tool that allows investors to ask the same question to a lot of different documents, such as earnings calls, for example. So you can imagine asking something like, what is this company's outlook on inflation, or how does the next administration affect this company? And for the AI to summarize that across hundreds and thousands of companies and look for trends across different sectors.
And is this something that you have seen offers a lot of value and can summarize it pretty accurately?
Yes, absolutely. So you
Yeah.
can ask the AI to condense its findings into, say, something numerical, so that then you can aggregate across industries, for example. We're actually going to release a case study on this very soon.
Love that. So, Warren, since you take a different approach to investing, I'd like to hear more about, you have over 30 exits. That's pretty impressive. Don't mean to, make a big deal out of that, but it is a big deal personally. I would love to hear at what stage are you investing in right now from your perspective? And I think this question also goes to Tien, who's, an investor as well separately. At what stage are you investing right now, and what are you looking for in the investment opportunities that you ultimately close?
So echoing Tony's point, AI is a vertical technology. So AI in and of itself is going to be pervasive. It's the new electricity. And so we're looking for applications that are fitting a real need in each of these different verticals. Again, what Tony was talking about. So we very deliberately look for subject matter experts in all of these different sectors, whether that's an expert in a specific domain in healthcare or in sales, automation or marketing automation or whatever. I mean, every single vertical out there, there's an abundance of opportunities. And we look at ourselves and say, we do only two things well. Number one, we start companies, and number two, we understand the AI technology landscape, and we have an opinion or a point of view on where it's going. So if you combine our expertise, if you will, in the horizontal layer with the vertical market expertise of the corporations or venture capital funds or entrepreneurs with whom we work, that's a really great recipe for creating typically B2B SaaS applications. And now SaaS is service as software, where you can really implement services that can execute all the way end to end. And kind of expanding on Moyin's point there, just as an example, with agentic technology coming about and becoming much more pervasive, what you can do with agents when you're trying to analyze marketplaces, competition, landscapes, et cetera, you can have each of these agents debate with amongst themselves and come up with a much more optimal answer than you could have 6 months ago, let's say. If you just, for instance, were just training on a single data set and having a single LLM generate a summary. Now you can have all these different perspectives from all these different agents. So it could be that somebody comes to us with an expertise in a certain area. We apply the latest in agentic technology or multimodal or local LLMs or whatever, and we're able to prototype that extremely quickly, hire the CEO, a board member, the first 5 employees, finance the company, and get the company up and running extremely rapidly, because speed and time into market is absolutely crucial. And hopefully we build something that has staying power, and Tony looks at it and says, yeah, this is something I want to get into.
That's why I sat you guys together, just saying. I'm kidding. Tien, I would love to hear your feedback on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Tony had mentioned, this is a horizontal technology. It's an enabling technology. I think the most recent example might be to follow what happened with cloud computing and application migration. And as far as our investment, we're not investing in pure play horizontal technologies and AI. We're investing in companies that are, like Warren said, in specific verticals with specific management teams that have core expertise that can move very quickly and have the agility to sort of deal with the competitive dynamics in the marketplace. I think to your first question, I did want to bring up 2 points in looking at factors, and they are regulatory and ethical, which we don't really hear too much about, but as an investor, you want to look at risk factors that can take down your whole company, and companies can be taken down by regulatory and ethical missteps for a variety of different reasons. So very, very hard to diligence. I don't know if there's a AI tool that you can develop that might be able to diligence that, but certainly those are 2 very big sort of clouds. And as a dual use investor, we're very, very sensitive to regulatory risk and ethical considerations in the deployment of AI.
I just want to elaborate on some of the comments just made here. So both generally venture early investors. I'm later private and public investor, and focusing on vertical AI for industries. Two things. These big horizontal layers at the bottom of a stack, the infrastructure, the silicon, the cloud, even the model. This is tens to hundreds of billions of dollars to play the game. So this, in many ways, there are very few companies in each one of these that can play that game. Warren is at the very top, and you could see they're picking off at the application layer, and I think he made a very prescient comment about services. So in the last era, it was all about SaaS, which is the application layer, which is software running on CPU and a small database. And now you have AI that will basically agents will take over SaaS, I think. And not only that, it will start eating into the human service layer. So now you're going to have new kinds of companies that are vertically specifically focused, and they're not necessarily competing at this foundational horizontal layer. They're competing here, and they're picking off very specific applications like call centers or medical services or whatever, and there can be lots of new companies being built at that layer, and they're gonna eat into labor, and they're gonna eat into software, and it's gonna be software and services combined into some kind of new kind of thing, and then hopefully you're gonna have lots of new companies that are attacking incumbent verticals at that layer of the stack. And so that's where I think the venture community, and we're going to create lots of new companies up at that layer of the stack. At the bottom of this stack, it's the giants that need $100 billion or more to play that game. And so you're not going to have, it's going to be very, very difficult to have new companies interject themselves at that layer of the stack.
Absolutely. So I think that's a perfect time to have Alex jump in with his expertise. Alex, regarding risk mitigation when it comes to AI ventures, what unique risks do you encounter when investing or dealing with companies with the AI-driven startups and infrastructure projects, and how do you mitigate those risks to ensure sustainability and returns?
What Tony said was exactly right. To play in the infrastructure game, in the LLM game, you need 100 million to start. That's the minimum ticket size that you need. And I think the stage is already set. People who are on the poker table is already set. And I think in the next few years, there will be a washout wave and M&A across the infrastructure space, right? And then across that, right, there will be a lot of different call it software stack sitting on top of infrastructure, because we're kind of a natural, I would say, vertical solution company, right? So we buy a lot of NVIDIA's silicon GPUs, and we also have to build a lot of software solutions on top, right? Memory optimization that allows LLM to train faster, token costs to be lower on the inferencing side, providing different kinds of LLMs, all the latest open source LLMs like DeepSeek V3, whatnot. Like we have to integrate that onto our platform, right? That allows our customers to use it more efficiently. So that's why I see that there are some like inference specific companies that I think will consolidate, and it will be a natural buyer from I would say the hyperscalers because they have a lot of, I would say, customer group. In terms of risk, I think there will be two things. I would like to break that down into one is enterprise and startup, right? So on the enterprise side, number one risk I would say is security and security and security. Nothing else matter, right? Cost, I think, is a relative term. You can choose a neo cloud that will be able to significantly lower that cost, compute costs relative to hyperscalers. Security is because for manufacturing or for chip design or data sensitive companies, most of their data are on-prem still, right? And it's really, they're sitting on, I would say, the gold mine. And AI is just a fancy word, but it's just data, right? extracting valuable information from that. And so the cool thing about this wave, I mean, to make this data insightful is you have to break down all the walls, right? Think about a large enterprise. A large enterprise, you have different data silo, right? HR have an own tool, solutions, right? Data silo. Sales have their own figures. Finance obviously have theirs, right? So it's probably stored different elsewhere. One maybe in Oracle, one in AWS, one in GCP, right? But in order to extract insights, you have to break down all the walls, right? So I think that becomes an issue. And here comes to the next point I want to make on the enterprise side, which is IAM, user access management, right? So for example, if a salesperson next to you asks the LLM, say, hey, who's the sales figure? What's his bonus from last quarter for the other, asking for another sales, right? You can't have that, right? So there will be, I would say, vertical cuts, right, and horizontal cuts based on kind of the levels. And each company is built different. All the data is different. So I think that's a issue for a large enterprise when they want to deploy AI, because agentic AI is one of the easiest, I would say, no-brainer for any enterprise to adopt, like right now, right? It just increased productivity for all their employees, right? Instead of asking for HR and they'll get back to you in a day, right? You can ask the AI instantly and get a feedback. So, but having a robust IAM system will be very important. And how you store that data cost effectively also will be another problem. And once you say, figure it out, train and fine tune, then we'll be starting to inference. And initially, company enterprise will probably start internally. So it will be hit, 1,000 or 10,000 times, like QPS, right? Queries per second. And if it's stored on-prem, then it will start a lot of issues because now the servers can't handle, right? And you're too afraid to open that to public because you're dealing with sensitive data. So to scaling that is also infrastructure issues. And so we're helping enterprise to think through all that problem. So I would say we're almost like a consultant for them to solve that problem. So that's like I see on the enterprise side. In terms of startup, it's speed, scale, and ease of use, right? They don't want to wait 6 months. They want it now, right? And so, and also cost, because all other, I mean, no intent to kind of talk ill of OpenAI, but when Sora came out, it was so beautiful 6 months ago, right? But now, 6 months later, it's okay compared to other video generative companies. So speed matters a lot to startups, right? So I think providing scaled GPU usage to startups will be very important. And also, second point is ease of use, right? Ease of use is, it's hard to deploy bare metal, right? It's much easier to use API keys to deploy whatever model they want. And they don't want to spend time on dealing with infrastructure either, right? Imagine like you're just spinning up a website and you have to think about whether your server will go up or down, and what's the variables that you have to tune. That's too much work. So you want to rely that on to infrastructure. So I guess that would be opportunities and risks that I see in terms of enterprise and startups.
Thank you for that. I think another aspect to this is the cost savings piece, right? When you're using AI models to analyze potential investments. Tony, I would really like to hear your feedback on that, as well as Warren and Tien, from an investor perspective, when you're looking through that, from the cost savings.
Let's just talk cost. Well, AI, I see really two vectors. There's efficiency, which is cost, and then there are breakthroughs beyond cost, okay? So yeah, of course, in enterprise, which is, the big, there's $100 trillion GDP, right? Global, it's $100 trillion. IT spending is, a small percentage of that GDP. The biggest single dollar item in that $100 trillion is labor. So labor is 2/3, 70, 60, 70% of an enterprise's spend. So agents, AI, productivity, co-pilots, on and on and on and on, they attack, at the end of the day, they're going to attack the central biggest line item of cost, that is labor. And so Warren brought up, he's building vertical apps that have this kind of service element to it with AI software. So to me, that is the single biggest opportunity, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it. People are even saying it's digital labor, digital workers. And if you can reduce cost, efficiency, et cetera, that's number one. So this is going to be a narrative vein that will extend for the next 5 years as agents become more widespread. So that's efficiency, cost, in my opinion. That's what's going to happen. Because IT budgets are not growing to the sky. They're growing GDP plus. So where are you going to buy all this compute? You're going to bring all this new stuff in. Where's the budget coming from? Well, you got to take it out of you got to take the dollar out of something to fund all of this spend. To me, the single biggest thing is the labor. So I think that's going to be a big push. Then there's AI that has nothing to do with that. And you saw that at Jensen's keynote on Monday. It is AI for breakthroughs, scientific breakthroughs that unlock things that potentially has nothing to do with cost savings and efficiencies. Can we achieve breakthroughs in biology and materials and chemistry and autonomy and that brings a different kind of dynamic. That is what I call a net additive to the market than just cost efficiency. So both of these things are going to probably parallelize. So that's what I think on cost.
Yeah, well, it's a great answer, and our companies at the very earliest stages, many of them are focused on doing the same job, just significantly lower cost. So, scenario number one. A few of our companies are working on the absolute breakthrough technologies, and I'm going to be very candid. Like, I would love to spend 95% of my time on the innovations that are going to completely disrupt industries and, healthcare. We're going to truly have personalized medicine. We're going to know each of our personal genomes, and we're going to be able to prescribe molecules that, cure our cold, and we're over it in it's like those old Star Trek episodes. Somebody has kidney failure, and Bones gives them a shot, and you're done with your kidney failure. That's what I want to work on. But the reality, I believe, and it's gonna get closer and closer to where we can play in that. But that's still at fundamentally larger capital expenditure, especially if you're talking about like healthcare. I know that Tony's involved with a quantum computer company. These are things that we can't get involved with. But all that being said, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit where there's a significant amount and percentage of cost savings that can accrue into these vertical markets. And because those can be funded with our pre-seed check is $1 million. And Tony doesn't wake up for $10 million. I don't want to speak for him, but loose change in his couch.
But just think about it. 1% savings on $100 trillion. It's $1 trillion. Right. Okay, and then the market S&P is trading at 20 times. You could capitalize $20 trillion of market value with 1% savings.
Exactly.
That's on cost. But imagine if you create net new creation.
Yeah.
Of breakthroughs, and then that's on top of just, AI is on one hand, we're going to be hyper fixated in the tactical near term about cost, efficiency. But like Warren said, it's more fun to be betting on the breakthroughs but to fund, these multi-trillion-dollar AI CapEx investments that's coming in the next decade, how are you going to pay for that? You got to come out of something.
Exactly. So from a practical standpoint, what do you feel is right now the common trend, Moyi, when it comes to what typical startups, from a data perspective, tend to be the go-to startups to try to fund, or that are getting a lot of traction right now, from a data perspective? And I would love to hear your opinion too, Tien.
Okay. Well, I'm not an investor, so I don't really. I'm not sure this is what you're looking for.
No. What I meant is from like a data perspective.
Okay.
When you see what the companies that you are evaluating right now, what do they tend to be? What verticals do they tend to be in?
Well, one trend that I see is I would argue that companies in almost every industry needs an internal AI platform, which is an evolution of a machine learning platform, which used to be found only in the big tech companies. And the reason for this is that AI is a truly transformational technology, as others have alluded to here. AI agents can increase productivity for many different teams across many verticals of a company. And at the same time, AI is a full stack problem. It isn't really just machine learning or data science. It goes back to the data, the quality of the data, and how that data, where that data is stored, the model risks, the model deployment. So all of those best practices can be applied and used across different divisions in a company.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Tien, would you like to add a few comments?
Yeah, I
to
mean,
that?
we're looking at mostly digital health, health technology, as well as biotechnology and drug development for AI, specifically application-wise, and also CRM. So I come from a CRM background. We are already seeing 80% reduction of labor costs for lower to middle. I'd like to know what the $70 trillion worth of labor, how much of that is lower and middle, because there's going to be some major disruption. But the fun part about, let's say, the CRM, let's take that for an example. You're going to see personalized customer service, customer experience. And companies, the big brands are looking at trying to enhance LTV and purchase amounts and longevity of the relationship by doing that. So that's kind of the cool part of the AI. And on the CRM labor side, yeah, you're seeing at least an 80% reduction, in some cases more. But yeah, so and we are looking at a lot of technology in that space. It's all agent driven for the most part. And
like
it's
that.
pretty low hanging fruit, I think.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump a little bit to a different topic that I think, since we have limited time, is very important to address, is the diversity factor, right? As we're gathering data, other panels have talked about making sure that the data that's being fed into these models come from very diverse backgrounds that are practical and that apply to the use case within that vertical. So Warren, would you like to share a little bit about that too? And then Alex, I'd love for you to follow that.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, if you're going to be catering to a global economy, you need data that represents the global perspective. I mean, you think about healthcare immediately, where there's been, and hopefully this is getting at the answer to the question, but like in healthcare, there's been lots and lots of studies on white middle-aged males, and yet the diversity of our population in the US, and of course globally, doesn't represent that whatsoever. You're not going to be able to advance healthcare if you're not looking at a diverse data set that represents everybody across the board. If you're looking at consumers and you're trying to do market research and you're looking to sell to a diverse customer base, you need data that represents your diverse customer base. So ultimately, we have an obligation, it's not even, there's an economic motive to have diversity across our data sets, to have diversity in our workforces, and to be able to serve a truly global population. There is no company in our portfolio that is not going after, ultimately, the global marketplace. And that is as diverse as it gets, and that's what you need your data to be representing.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting insight. So I would like to talk about in terms of like sovereign AI side, right? It's so people have said AI is racist, whatnot, right? But it's actually just a data problem because just on the data sets it's trained on all the publicly available data is skewed towards a certain groups, right? Just the way it is. That's why each nation state or company will develop their own AI, right? For example, if you ask OpenAI, say, hey, what is the best udon place in Kyoto? Right? They probably won't know because it does not have that data, right? It's the way it is. And so that's why it's very important to have a local language LLM in areas, right? And maybe create some sort of MOE, right? Mixture of experts, right? So when you're asking a question, it will just automatically, so you will go through a first layer of LLM that sorts which agent or which LLM to ask a question to, right? And use that LLM specifically for that data. I think that's your answer towards kind of diversity, which is, you create different domain-specific or area-specific or geolocation-specific LLM model that have different insights.
Yes,
and when you ask that question, then you will be able to have a much accurate answer.
That's great. Thanks. Tony.
I would just add on the data thing. I think that a lot of these questions are about, this diversity question is around human data, human created data, but it's already all been consumed, and the vast majority of human created data is already, at least the publicly available data for the most part, has already been pre-trained. It's already done in the pre-training, and so you hear that you're running out of pre-training data for human side, and actually and then you have this other kinds of scaling laws, which is extending now to what they call inference time or test time compute, which is a different kind of thing. And it's not about just pre-training on, let's get this data set in the Middle East and the Asian people. And for the most part, that's already been done. Okay, so it's now this test time or inference compute is going to be these reasoning models, and then a lot of this is synthetic data. And this is like for maybe it might be not 90% synthetic data, 5-10% human data, and so especially as you enter these other domains like the physical world, robotics, autonomous driving, et cetera, what they call world model, not a language model, but a world model. A lot of that is going to be synthetic data generated, and so this idea of like we're fixated on we got to get the human data right. Well, it's already been all consumed.
And as far as like the founders, though, Tony, and also Warren and Tien, how do you feel? Is it important is that part of the ethos to have diversity in the founders? I mean, do you see a value add there, or is that something that's a component that may or may not?
I mean, I'm just sure, yes, but you want great people. You want great
Absolutely.
Leaders, great people, and they can come from everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I would concur. I think it's the founders will find us, and so we select from the founders who do find us, and we're very proud of the diversity within our founder portfolio. But the thing we can control is the diversity of the team, the executive team, the management team. There, with the recruiting capabilities that we bring to bear and kind of get things started. You start with a diverse group. You have a diversity of opinions. If you don't have a diversity of opinions, you automatically have groupthink. That's not good for business. So you want to start off on the right direction with respect to diversity.
Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you to our amazing panelists for their perspective and for your energy in this room as well. Thank you.